Have you ever stopped to think about why there are people who seem to have permanently settled in your mind? Perhaps an old partner, a fleeting love, or even someone you barely know. It's as if, without warning, these people have taken possession of your thoughts, occupying mental space without your permission. Sometimes, it even seems like they have an indefinite rental contract. But what really happens with this phenomenon? Is it simply an anomaly in the mind, a temporary glitch in your brain? The answer is not so simple. Carl Jung, one of the most influential figures in the field of psychology, argued that when someone remains in your thoughts consistently, it is not a coincidence. In fact, it could be one of the most valuable clues to understanding your own inner self. So, what is actually happening? Is it a matter of love or obsession? Or perhaps there is something deeper, something you haven't even begun to fully understand. Get ready to delve into the fascinating world of Jung's theories. Concepts like the shadow, the anima and animus, projection, and the astonishing power of synchronicity offer us keys to unravel what is happening in your mind. As you explore these concepts, you might discover that the person who occupies so much mental space is not really the center of it all. Perhaps the answer lies within yourself, in aspects of your own psyche that you have yet to recognize. In the end, you may see that person from a completely new perspective, or even realize that what is happening to you has more to do with you than with them. Carl Jung stated, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." With this phrase, he reflected his belief that the human mind is a vast labyrinth filled with hidden passages that lead to self-knowledge. However, most people rarely venture into these depths. Instead of exploring what lies within, they remain on the surface, busy with the demands of day-to-day life, while their unconscious continues to work in the shadows, processing emotions, memories, and repressed desires. When a person appears again and again in your thoughts, Jung did not consider it a mere coincidence. For him, it was a clear sign that your unconscious is trying to get your attention. Imagine your mind as an iceberg. The small visible part represents what you are aware of, your most accessible thoughts and memories. However, the large mass submerged underwater symbolizes everything that lies in the unconscious, that place where unresolved experiences, repressed emotions, and hidden aspects of your own identity are stored. And it is there that most of the mental activity occurs, outside of your immediate perception. If someone constantly resurfaces in your mind, it's likely that they have activated something deep within you. Perhaps their words struck a chord related to a forgotten memory, or maybe they represent something you desire for yourself. According to Jung, these events are not mere coincidences, but important messages. It doesn't mean you should be trapped in this obsession forever, but rather that it's time to pay attention and discover what your own mind is trying to communicate to you. No, it's not about what you perceive externally, nor about what you see when walking down the street. It's about that part of you that you prefer to keep hidden, that facet of your psyche that you have rejected because it doesn't fit with the ideal image you have of yourself. Carl Jung called this part the shadow, and defined it as everything you have suppressed, ignored, or denied, because it is uncomfortable or unacceptable for you to accept that it is also a part of you. This is where things get really interesting. Those people you can't get out of your mind might not be mere emotional coincidences. They could be acting as symbolic spokespersons for your shadow. Think, for example, of someone whose confidence fascinates you. Perhaps what is really happening is that you are struggling with your own lack of confidence, or maybe you are drawn to someone incredibly creative because you have stopped nurturing your more artistic side. Even those people you find unbearable may be revealing something important. Perhaps their behavior reflects traits of yours that you are unwilling to acknowledge, such as arrogance, impulsivity, or rigidity. Jung proposed that our connections with others often function as reflections of our internal relationship. When someone occupies your mind insistently, they may represent a forgotten aspect of yourself that needs to be seen and understood. It's as if your unconscious is trying to start a conversation with you. I am here, and it's time for you to listen to me. Instead of getting stuck wondering why you can't stop thinking about that person, you could start exploring what part of you is being reflected. That's where transformation begins. Because, as Jung expressed so clearly, we do not reach the light by avoiding the darkness, but by making it conscious. Now let's talk about two of the most fascinating concepts within Jung's theory: the anima and the animus. These archetypes represent the feminine and masculine energies within the human psyche and have a profound influence on the way you relate to others. Generally speaking, the animus symbolizes the feminine dimension within the unconscious of men, while the animus embodies the masculine dimension within the unconscious of women. But don't get stuck in a rigid view of gender, as these are symbolic representations present in all people, regardless of their identity. Now, what does this have to do with the fact that you can't get someone out of your head? According to Jung, when a person persistently dominates your thoughts, it could be because they resonate with your anima or animus. They may embody qualities that you unconsciously associate with the ideal partner, or awaken aspects of your own personality that you have yet to fully explore. You might be captivated by their emotional depth because it reflects a latent yearning within you, or perhaps their determination and strength awaken something you wish to integrate into your life. However, this is where things get complicated. It's not always about genuine attraction. The anima and animus can act as distorted filters, leading you to project an idealized image onto someone. In other words, you might not be seeing the real person, but rather the version that your unconscious has constructed. And this can generate intense emotions, but also confusion. Understanding this dynamic can completely change your perspective. Instead of asking yourself, "Why can't I stop thinking about this person?" you might start to question, "What part of me is being awakened by this connection?" In the end, the people who impact us the most are often reflections of internal aspects that we need to recognize. This is where the situation becomes really interesting. Jung argued that much of what we feel towards others has less to do with them and more to do with what is happening inside us. This psychological phenomenon is known as projection. Imagine your mind as a movie theater where, without realizing it, you project your own thoughts, desires, fears, and internal conflicts onto another person, turning them into the main character of a story that is actually about you. To better understand this concept, think of someone whose self-confidence impacts you. You may feel drawn to that quality because, deep down, you long to strengthen your own confidence. Or perhaps you already possess that trait, but have not fully recognized it within yourself. On the other hand, if someone particularly annoys you, it could be because they embody a trait that, unconsciously, makes you uncomfortable with yourself, such as a tendency to avoid confrontation or to be excessively reserved. In both cases, your unconscious is using that person as a mirror to show you aspects of your own psyche that need to be explored and understood. The complicated thing about projection is that it feels absolutely real. You can convince yourself that someone is extraordinary or unbearable without realizing that you are actually seeing parts of yourself reflected. For Jung, this was an invaluable opportunity for personal growth. When you notice that a person occupies your mind intensely, whether through admiration or rejection, pause and ask yourself, "What am I really perceiving here? What does this say about me?" Recognizing your projections allows you to reclaim those parts of your identity and prevents others from having so much control over your thoughts and emotions. It is not a simple process, but as Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Have you ever thought about someone and suddenly that person sends you a message, or after weeks of someone lingering in your mind, you run into them in the least expected place? It's as if the universe is conspiring to send you a signal, or perhaps playing a trick on you. Carl Jung called this phenomenon synchronicity, and he was convinced it was not just a simple coincidence, but something much deeper. According to Jung, synchronicity occurs when two events are connected not by a cause and effect relationship, but by their meaning. In other words, when what happens in your mind and what occurs in the external world seem to align in a surprising way, it is a sign that something important is happening on a deeper level. Perhaps your unconscious is so focused on that person that it starts to perceive them everywhere. Or there may be an invisible force linking your internal world with the external in ways we do not yet fully understand. But here's the interesting part. Synchronicity is not just a series of meaningless coincidences. Jung saw it as an invitation to reflect. a clue to understand why that person keeps appearing in your life and what message they may be bringing. Are they activating an unresolved emotion in you? Do they symbolize an opportunity or a path you have been avoiding out of fear? Or do they simply come to remind you of your ability to give meaning to what happens around you? The next time you encounter one of these meaningful coincidences, don't dismiss it as mere chance. Take it as a reminder that both your mind and the universe are trying to tell you something. As Jung said, synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see. After exploring these theories, you may wonder what to do when someone occupies your mind constantly. Jung's ideas are not only fascinating, but can also become practical tools for self-knowledge and personal transformation. If you want to understand what this mental fixation really means, here are 3 stages that can help you decipher the hidden message from your unconscious. To begin, take a moment for introspection. Carefully observe what emotions arise in you when you think about that person. Does their confidence inspire you? Do you feel frustration at their apparent indifference? Or perhaps there is something in their free and adventurous spirit that you find particularly attractive. Accurately recognizing what you experience is the first step to understanding what it truly represents in your life. Next, dive into a deeper analysis. Ask yourself what significance those emotions have within your own personal process. If you are fascinated by their ability to express themselves, it may be because you long to find your own voice and communicate more authentically. If their distant attitude hurts you, it may be bringing to light insecurities that have been there for a long time, waiting to be healed. Writing about these feelings or reflecting in moments of calm can help you reveal aspects of your unconscious that previously went unnoticed. The final step is to transform these discoveries into concrete actions. What you have identified should not remain just a theory, but serve as a compass for your own growth. Perhaps it is time to strengthen your confidence, explore new forms of creativity, or work on healing emotional wounds. The important thing here is not to change the other person or modify the external situation, but to allow yourself to evolve from what you have learned about yourself. Jung expressed it clearly. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Don't let your thoughts run on autopilot. If someone occupies your mind persistently, don't ignore it. Instead, see it as an invitation to explore parts of yourself that you may not have discovered yet. The mind is like a map full of clues and signals that, when interpreted correctly, can lead you to a deeper understanding of who you really are. When a person repeatedly appears in your thoughts, it is not just about them, but about you. Often, those figures that linger in our minds are indicators of internal aspects that we need to understand or develop. Instead of feeling trapped in a cycle of recurring thoughts, use it as an opportunity to get to know yourself better and move forward on your personal path. Now that you have explored this dynamic, it's time to ask yourself key questions. What parts of you are asking to be recognized? What patterns could you leave behind to live more authentically? What fears or limiting beliefs are preventing you from fully expressing yourself? Remember that every small step you take towards your growth has a profound impact. Sometimes, the greatest transformations begin with the simple act of paying attention to what your mind is already telling you. Always remember that you are not alone on this journey. This space, this community, and this channel exist to remind you of your immense potential and to accompany you at every stage of your self-discovery journey. If this message has resonated with you, do not let its impact fade away in the moment. Allow it to expand, grow, and reach others who may benefit from these reflections. Perhaps you know someone who is seeking answers, going through personal challenges, or needs a moment of clarity that only you, with your connection and empathy, can offer. Sharing this content, expressing your thoughts in the comments, or simply leaving a like are small gestures, but with a powerful impact. They help more people access this message and find inspiration in it. Imagine what we can achieve together. A community of people who choose to live from authenticity, with courage and unconditional acceptance of themselves. Every action, no matter how small it seems, contributes to real change, adding strength to a movement that transforms the world from the inside out. The sum of each individual awakening can create a profound and lasting collective impact. Now I want to know your perspective. What part of this message has touched you in a special way? What thoughts or emotions has it awakened in you? Share your reflections in the comments. Also tell me, what concrete action are you willing to take today to prioritize your well-being and honor who you are? Your words can become the starting point for someone else's growth. What you share here is not only valuable to me, but also to those who are on a similar path in search of clarity and transformation. If you are not yet part of this community, I invite you to subscribe and activate notifications. Together, we can bring this message to more people and remind them that the greatest power we possess is to be authentic. Thank you for being here, for listening, for opening your mind and heart to these reflections. Thank you for being part of this movement of growth and self-discovery. Never forget that true change begins within, and the world needs more people who have the courage to live their truth. See you in the next video. Until then, keep this in mind. The synchronicity in your life intensifies the moment you allow yourself to be the person your thoughts are guiding you to discover.